My sister looked me dead in the eye and said, "We needed the cash more than you needed that dress," right after I found out she'd secretly sold my wedding gown, just one day before I was supposed to walk down the aisle. She and her boyfriend used the money for some fancy vacation. But that choice? It would end up flipping her life upside down. That dress. I'd never owned anything so breathtaking in my entire life. Every time I saw it, something lit up inside me, this electric mix of joy and disbelief, like I wasn't used to feeling something so purely mine. It wasn't just a dress to me, not some fabric with lace. It was proof. Proof that for once, I'd done something selfish, something just for me. I'm not the kind of person who throws money around. I've always been the practical one. The dependable one. Every cent I made went straight into bills, groceries, rent, or my sister's education. But this time, just this once, I let myself have something nice. And tomorrow, I was finally going to wear it. My wedding day was almost here, and I still couldn't wrap my head around it. Me. The same girl who spent most of her early 30s juggling 3 jobs and pushing her own life aside so her sister wouldn't have to go without. And somehow, through all that chaos, I found him. A man who didn't just love me, he saw me. He never made me shrink, never asked me to give up parts of myself just to make him comfortable. And when I walked down that aisle tomorrow, I wanted to feel like a real bride. Not just the reliable one. Not the older sister always putting herself last. Not the background character in everyone else's story. I wanted one flawless moment. And the second I slipped into that dress, I knew it would be mine. I glanced at my closet and smiled, already picturing how it would look on me. The fine embroidery, the way the fabric shimmered under the lights, I had checked on it probably 100 times that week, just to be sure it was safe. I walked over, humming, practically floating with happiness. Tomorrow was going to be the best day of my entire life. I pulled open the closet door, and my smile vanished. The dress was gone. I froze, just standing there, staring at the empty hanger like it might explain itself. My brain didn't catch up right away. I blinked, shook my head, and started pushing hangers around. Maybe I'd moved it and forgotten? Maybe I was just misremembering? I dropped to my knees, running my hands over the closet floor. Maybe it slipped down? But no. Nothing. Just air. That wave of panic hit me fast, scorching and wild. My breathing turned quick and jagged. No, this can't be happening. I tore the bedroom apart. I checked the hallway closet, dug through the laundry, even peeked in the kitchen because who knows, maybe I'd been so sleep-deprived I did something ridiculous. But deep down, I already knew the truth. This wasn't an accident. My hands were shaking so hard, I nearly dropped my phone when I picked it up. I scrolled to Brielle's name and hit call. I had no idea that what happened next would change everything between us. Forever. Brielle, she was always the favorite. It wasn't like anyone ever said it out loud, but they didn't need to. You could feel it in the way things played out. Like when I had to give up my birthday toys because you're the older sister, Rachel, be nice. Or how she could throw a fit in public and get exactly what she wanted, while I'd hear, Rachel, we can't afford that. Don't be selfish. I figured it out early on. Brielle asked, Brielle got. But it wasn't just about stuff. It was about attention, too. Brielle had this magnetic energy, big reactions, big smiles, big tears. When she was thrilled, the whole room felt it. When she was upset, it was a full-blown emergency. I wasn't like that. I kept my emotions to myself. If something upset me, I dealt with it quietly. I didn't cry over small things or act out. And my parents rewarded her for needing them while pushing me to be independent. Rachel, you're so mature for your age. You're fine on your own, right? Brielle just needs a little more attention, for now. It was always right now. I used to wonder when my right now would finally come. It never did. When Brielle started school, she struggled. Couldn't focus, forgot homework, always needed extra help. So my parents poured everything into her. Tutors, teacher meetings, hours of coaching. Me? I breezed through with straight as and barely a nod. I'd bring home perfect scores and they'd barely glance. Brielle would get a B on a math test and they acted like she'd won the Nobel Prize. I didn't say anything. What could I say? I just adjusted my expectations. Then came college. I always knew it wasn't in the cards for me. There was no money, and no one ever said otherwise. So I didn't complain. Didn't ask. I graduated high school and went straight to work. That was my track. That was the role I was born into. Until one day, 3 years later, I walked into the kitchen and heard them talking about Brielle's college fund. I remember it like a photo. My mom flipping through brochures at the kitchen table. We should start looking at apartments near campus, she told my dad. Brielle will need a nice place to live. I stood there frozen. They never saved a dime for me. They never even thought about it. But for Brielle, she had a whole plan. Tuition, housing, a new life out of state. My mom saw me in the doorway and smiled. Rachel, can you help Brielle pick out furniture for her dorm? You're good with budgeting. You'll know what's worth getting. Like I was her personal assistant. Just there to make Brielle's life easier. I didn't argue. I didn't even flinch. What would be the point? Brielle was the future. I was just the one making sure she got there. The next few years passed in a haze of exhaustion and aching muscles. Brielle got to live the carefree college life. I worked nonstop, 3 jobs, sometimes 4. I sent her rent, grocery money, helped with emergencies. My parents chipped in when they could, but mostly told me, "You're doing so great, Rachel. You've got it handled." Because needing help? That was Brielle's lane. Fixing everything? That was mine. And I never questioned it, not even when Brielle's asks got bigger. It wasn't just tuition. She needed cash for concerts, beach trips, spring break adventures. And I kept saying yes. Because I cared. Because she was my little sister. Because, honestly, who else was going to do it? And then came the moment that changed everything. Brielle called me late one night, completely panicked. "Ray, I need to borrow some money," she whispered. "It's important." I was barely standing after a double shift, but I asked for what? She hesitated, then whispered, "A trip." Like she didn't want anyone to hear. "With my boyfriend," she whispered. "We really need this trip. Things have been rough between us lately, and I think if we don't go, he's going to break up with me." Something in the way she said it twisted my gut. I knew Brielle. She never begged. And I knew enough about her boyfriend to know I didn't trust him one bit. Still, she was my sister. So I asked her, "How much are we talking?" She told me the number, and for the first time in my entire life, I told her no. She did not take it well. She started crying. Told me this was her last shot to save her relationship. "Please, Ray, you always help me." "Why is this time any different?" she asked. And God, I wanted to help her. I really did, but I couldn't. Not this time. So I told her I was sorry. That I just couldn't do it. Brielle went quiet. Then she said something that hit me straight in the chest. "Oh, just that." Like it was finally dawning on her that maybe, just maybe, she couldn't keep taking from me forever. The call ended. I sat there staring at my phone, wondering if I'd just ruined everything. But the truth? I had no idea what was coming. Because the real betrayal? That was still on its way. And I never saw it coming. The night before my wedding, I still believed Brielle was my maid of honor. She was crashing at my apartment, helping with all the last-minute wedding chaos. She arranged my shoes, steamed my veil, double-checked the packing list for the venue. She even sat on my bed, braiding my hair while we laughed about dumb things we did as kids. At one point, she whispered, "You're really getting married," like she couldn't quite believe it. I smiled. I felt warm, hopeful, excited. And even with all the drama, with all the times she'd put herself first, even with the recent weirdness over money, I still wanted her by my side. Because she was my sister. Because I loved her. The next morning, Brielle got up early. I was still half asleep when she said she was heading out. Just a few errands I need to run before the ceremony, she said, real casual. I nodded without thinking, still groggy. She kissed my cheek. I'll be back soon, okay? Okay, I mumbled, rolling over. I should have known. When I finally got up, I was buzzing with nerves. I'd barely slept. This was it. My wedding day. I made some coffee, took a shower, and tried to steady myself before opening the closet. I wanted one last look at the dress before I started getting ready. I pulled the door open, and my heart stopped cold. The dress wasn't there. For a few seconds, I just stood frozen. My brain refused to catch up. It had to be there. I yanked the door open wider, shoved hangers around, checked the floor. Nothing. My breath turned shaky. My hands trembled. I tore the room apart, checked the hallway closet, dug through the laundry, opened my honeymoon suitcase, even though I knew it wouldn't be there. Gone. It was just gone. Panic rose in my throat like fire. I grabbed my phone and called Brielle. She picked up immediately. Hey Ray, I'm almost back. Brielle. I cut her off. My voice was flat, quiet, dangerous. Where's my dress? A beat of silence. Then she laughed. Oh my God, you scared me. I thought something serious had happened. I shut my eyes. Brielle. My wedding dress is missing. Where is it? I have no idea, she said, brushing it off. Did you check the laundry room? I checked everywhere, I said. My voice cracked. Maybe someone took it, she offered, her tone breezy. Your friend Tessa was here yesterday. Maybe she moved it? And that's when I felt it, that deep, cold twist in my stomach. That awful, heavy knowing. She was lying. Brielle came back an hour later. Walked in like it was just another day. But when she saw my face, saw how I was looking at her, her whole vibe changed. Her smile vanished. Brielle, I said, staring her down. Tell me the truth. She paused, then let out this dramatic sigh and rolled her eyes. Okay, fine. And then she said it. The sentence I'll never forget. We needed the money more than you needed the dress. I couldn't even form words. I just stood there. She folded her arms like I was the problem. Look, she said, like she was being reasonable, you're marrying the love of your life. He's not going to leave you because of a dress. My hands clenched. You sold it. She nodded, completely unfazed. I found a buyer this morning. I slipped the dress out while you were still asleep. My mouth fell open. What? Remember when you posted that photo? Someone messaged me asking if you'd sell it. I told them yes, and they sent a deposit right away. My breath left me. Weeks. She'd been planning this for weeks. And you didn't tell me? She scoffed. Rachel, I told you, I needed that trip. My relationship is falling apart. You're already happy. You have it all. I needed this more. And right there, something inside me just broke. I had given Brielle everything. My time, my strength, my money, my future. And she'd stolen the one thing I kept for myself. I took a long breath, steadying my voice. You're not my maid of honor anymore. Her face twisted. What? You're out, I said. My voice trembled. You're not coming to the wedding. Her jaw dropped. Rachel, get out. I didn't scream. I didn't lose it. But whatever she saw in my eyes made her back away. For the first time, she realized she'd pushed too far. And she panicked. Come on, Ray. Don't do this. It's just a dress. But I was done. She left. And I crumbled. I called Tessa, my best friend, and she stepped in as my maid of honor, no hesitation. I found a backup dress. It didn't fit right. Didn't feel like mine. There wasn't enough time to fix it. I looked at myself in the mirror and saw a stranger in white. The wedding went on. But just as I stepped out to walk the aisle, Brielle tried to crash it. I'd already told security to keep her out. But she caused a scene. People turned. Guests whispered. And I knew if I tried to fight her then, it would ruin everything. So I let her in. As a guest. Not as my maid of honor. Not as my sister. not as the person I had spent years sacrificing for. And as I stood at the altar, smiling for the cameras, I thought, she thinks she won. She thinks she got away with it. But she has no idea what's coming. I didn't yell, didn't throw a fit, didn't even tell her how much I hated her in that moment. I smiled. I let her sip champagne, laugh with guests, pose for photos like she hadn't ripped the heart out of my wedding. She thought she was off the hook. But Brielle had no clue. Because I wasn't going to scream. I was going to watch her self-destruct. 1 week later, she left for her trip. Like nothing happened. She started posting pictures online. Smiling on a boat. Toasting with cocktails. Posing in some bikini next to her boyfriend. No guilt. No shame. Just Brielle, living it up on the dream she stole from me. I saved every photo. Not because I cared what she was doing, but because someday I wanted her to look back at them and remember how clueless she was. How she had no idea that when she came home, everything would be crashing down. And the first thing to disappear was her phone service. It started with something small. Something Brielle never gave a second thought because I'd always handled it for her. She shot me a casual text like everything was business as usual. Hey Ray, my phone bill's due. Can you take care of it? I just stared at the screen for a while. Then I set my phone down. I didn't answer. I didn't pay it. I left her to deal with it on her own. A couple of days passed before she messaged again. Ray, I think my service got cut off. Did you forget to pay it? This time, I smiled. Oh, Brielle, you really have no idea. Then came the rent. She still had about a week before it was due, but I didn't say a word. I wondered how long it would take her to realize the safety net was gone. I didn't have to wait long. One night, my phone lit up with her name. She sounded frantic, her voice tight with panic. Rachel, my landlord just messaged me about rent. I think autopay didn't go through. I didn't respond right away. I let the silence hang. Then, calmly, I said, I'm not paying it. She paused, confused, like she hadn't really heard me right. What? I said I'm not paying it. Not anymore. There was this weird little laugh, light, nervous, disbelieving. Okay, very funny. But seriously, can you just take care of it? I don't have enough in my account right now. I didn't reply. She waited. I think she was still expecting me to laugh and say, gotcha. But then, my silence must have landed. Her tone shifted. Wait, Ray. What do you mean, not anymore? I leaned back in my chair, exhaled slowly. I felt lighter than I had in years. I mean, I'm done, Brielle. Done paying for your rent, your bills, your little vacations, your college tuition. Silence. But not confusion this time. This was dread. Wait, Ray. Okay, I get it. You're upset. But you can't just. Yes, I said firmly. I can. She choked on her breath. But I still have 9 months left in school. You said you'd help me finish. I was going to, I told her. Before you sold my wedding dress. I could practically hear her trying to put the pieces together. Her voice cracked. Please. I ended the call. The real panic didn't hit until about 10 days later, after she came back from her trip and finally saw how bad things were. Her phone? Still disconnected. Her landlord? On the verge of kicking her out. Her college tuition? Completely unpaid. She had 2 semesters left. And no backup plan. That's when the calls changed. No more casual check-ins. These were full-on breakdowns. The voicemails came nonstop. Ray, please call me back. I'm serious, I don't know what to do. Ray, I swear I'll pay you back. I just need help right now. Rachel, please. I'm your sister. But she wasn't my sister. Not anymore. She was just someone who had spent her whole life taking from me. And now, for the first time, she was paying the price. The final call came around 2 a.m. I was half asleep, ready to hit decline, but something made me answer. Brielle was sobbing. They're kicking me out, she gasped. I don't have anywhere to go. I sat up slowly. Not my problem, I said. Her breath caught in her throat. Ray, please. I'll pay you back. I swear. I'll do anything. Anything? I asked quietly. Like how you paid me back for my wedding dress? Silence. Then, barely a whisper. I didn't think you'd really do this to me. I closed my eyes. And I didn't think you'd sell my dress. Yet, here we are. More crying. More pleading. I'd never heard her this desperate. And for a second, I almost felt bad. Almost. But then I remembered. All the money I worked myself to the bone for. The years I gave up. The way she grinned like none of it mattered. She didn't love me. She loved what I could do for her. And now? She had nothing. I took a slow breath. And for the first time in my life, I told her the one word she never heard from me. No. Figure it out, Brielle. And I hung up. I didn't check my phone the next morning. I didn't read her texts. I went on with my life. And for once, my money was mine. My time? Also mine. As for Brielle, I don't know what happened after that. Where she went, how she got through it, I have no idea. But I do know one thing. She'll never get anything else from me again. Update. It didn't take long for Brielle to go crying to our parents. She called them up, sobbing, saying I'd turned my back on her. Said I'd abandoned her, left her helpless, heartless. And of course, they sided with her. I don't know what version of the story they bought into. Maybe they thought I suddenly lost my mind. Or decided to sabotage her future for sport. Didn't matter. Because the next thing I knew, my phone was ringing again. First it was Mom. Rachel, I don't know what's gotten into you, but this is not the daughter we raised. Then Dad. She's your sister. Family is supposed to support each other. She needed you. And then came the guilt trips. She's going to end up homeless. She might have to drop out of school. You're really okay letting that happen? I let them talk. Let them unload their judgment. And when they finally stopped, I asked, calm as ever. Did she tell you why I stopped paying for her? Silence. Then Mom sighed, like I was being dramatic. Rachel, it was just a dress. Just a dress. My wedding dress. The one thing in my life that was for me. And to them, it meant nothing. I exhaled. And then I laid it all out. Every single thing I'd done for Brielle. Every bill I'd covered. Every sacrifice I made. Every dream I shelved so she could chase hers. And then I said the words out loud. I wasn't her sister. I was her bank account. And I'm done. They didn't like that. They pushed back, said I was cruel, selfish, bitter. But I didn't argue. I just hung up. And for the next few months, I ignored every call that came through. Brielle thought she could make it without me. At first, she faked it. Pretended it was fine. She still had some money left from selling the dress. She thought she could stretch it out, make it work. But reality hit hard. The tuition deadline passed, and no payment came through. Her phone stayed disconnected. Her rent? Still unpaid. She was drowning. And to make things worse, her boyfriend left her. Because of course he did. He was never in it for her, just for what she could offer. And now that she had nothing left? He bailed. Brielle had never worked a day in her life. No job history. No experience. No idea how hard real life actually is. But she had no choice. She took a part-time job at a local coffee shop. It barely covered her rent. She was constantly exhausted, juggling shifts and school like she was in survival mode. And eventually, she couldn't keep up. She flunked every single exam, got fired, ended up evicted, and finally had to move back in with our parents. The moment that happened, the blame landed squarely on me. You ruined your sister's life, Rachel, they said. If you had just kept helping her like before, none of this would have happened. Do you even care about your family anymore? I didn't answer. I didn't have it in me. There was nothing left to explain. Update. 1 year later. It had been over a year since I last spoke to Brielle. My parents, too. And honestly, my life had never felt better. For the first time, my money was mine. I had dropped the second job. I actually took vacations. Bought myself things without guilt. I was married. Happily. Expecting a baby. All those years of grinding, sacrificing, giving and giving, I was finally living the life I'd worked for. Then, completely out of the blue, she reached out. A text. Hey, Ray. I know it's been a long time, but do you think we could get coffee? I stared at the screen for what felt like forever. I didn't know what she wanted. What angle this time? But after a while, I typed back a simple, okay. We met at a little cafe near my house. She looked different. Not in a bad way, just worn. Older, somehow. We sat down. Ordered drinks. It was quiet at first. Then she said something I never thought I'd hear from her. I get it now. I blinked. What? She looked down, her fingers twisting the edge of her napkin. Clearly uncomfortable. I didn't understand back then. Not really. I had no idea how hard it is. She paused. How exhausting it is to work all the time. To constantly worry about money. To feel like no matter what you do, it's never enough. She glanced at me. Her eyes were tired. I thought you were just doing it because you wanted to. I didn't realize how much you were sacrificing. Her voice was low. Her shoulders slumped. I treated you terribly. I didn't respond. Because what could I say? She let out a slow sigh. I'm not here to ask for anything. I miss you. And I know I don't deserve another shot, but I'd like to try. She looked up at me. I'm not asking for money. I don't want anything from you. I just want my sister back. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. A year ago, I would have killed to hear those words. But now? I wasn't sure if I believed her. Not fully, but I looked at her, really looked, and I could see it. She'd been through hell. A hell of her own making. And maybe, just maybe, she'd come out different. Maybe she'd grown. Maybe she was finally seeing me as more than a resource. I finally spoke. I don't know if I can forgive you, Brielle. She nodded slowly. That's fair. But I added, I'm willing to try. Her eyes filled with tears. That's all I'm asking. We sat there for almost an hour after that. Just chatting. Nothing deep. Nothing heavy. And for once, she didn't ask me for a single thing. When we said goodbye, I gave her a small smile. Not because everything was fixed. Not because the past had disappeared. But because maybe, just maybe, something real could grow in its place.